was walking downtown the other day and I came across a homeless man. He was shaking his cup saying 16 cents, 16 cents, all I need is 16 cents. And like everybody else, I just walked by him ignoring his request. And then I thought about it, 16 cents, why on earth does he need 16 cents? So I went back to him and I asked him, I said, so why do you need 16 cents? And he looked up to me and he says, for liquor, what else? I said, well, I can't support your drinking habits, but if you're hungry, I'll get you something to eat. He kind of looked at me and I looked at him, and then he turned around behind him and he kind of shouted, say, hey, come on guys, this kid's buying. And out of the shadows emerged 3 other homeless men. And I was a little struck by that, but I said, hey. So then we went and got some pizza across the street. So we go into the pizza place, I order some pizza and we sit down and we start talking. And I ask them to share their stories, to tell me where they're from and how they got to where they're at. And one of the guys was from Chicago, a big Bear fan. And we connected over the Bears, and then he described how he lost his younger brother and sister to pneumonia because he was living in the basement in Chicago without any heat. And he went on to describe other trials in his life and how he's been addicted to so many drugs. And he's just trying to break free, and he wanted to know, how can I stop? And then there was this other guy. He described his family as the Huxtables. A typical middle-class African-American family where he was a star athlete, he was getting good grades, he was on his way to somewhere great. And then for whatever reason, he got hooked up in the wrong crowd. He started doing drugs. He doesn't know where his family is. He's got grandchildren that he's never met, and he doesn't even know where he's going. But then there was this last guy, this guy that was a little bit more distant. He was sort of taken back by the whole thing, and he didn't say much. And whatever he did say something, it usually wasn't nice. Every time I spoke, he kind of poked fun at me. He was kind of just saying, you're just some punk Christian kid, he don't know anything about life. I mean, the other guys actually had to say, hey man, give him a break, he's giving us free pizza. And eventually they did, and we got to eating our pizza. And after I went and paid for the pizza, we walked outside. I saw the guy standing on the corner, and I went up to him, and the first 3 guys sort of greeted me, and that was fine. But then the one guy that didn't like me, he grabbed my shoulder and he pushed me to the side and he says, the joke's over, give me all your money. And at that moment, I thought it was over. I thought I was gonna die. But then a thought came into my mind, reverse psychology. And I just said, no way, man, you give me your money. And you know what he did? He broke down and started laughing. He put his arm around my shoulder and he says, this kid's all right. And we connected as human beings. I wasn't just some punk kid. He wasn't some homeless man. We were fellow travelers on the journey. After the guy showed me around the city, it was time to go, and we said our goodbyes, and one of the guys looked me in the eyes and he said, God bless you. And as I was leaving, I remembered the words of Jesus, that whatever you do to these least of these brothers of mine, you do to me. That when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was the bum outside begging for change, you bought me some pizza. You see, God, the God of the universe, identifies himself so closely with the hurting and the hungry that to minister to them is to minister to him. To love those he loves is to love God. See, so often I meet people who want to grow in their relationship with God, and we tell them, worship God through song, or read your Bible, or have quiet times, and they still come back to me and they say, I still haven't connected with God. And I say, have you gone out to serve? Have you gone out to meet the hurting and the hungry? Because when you do, you meet Jesus. And whenever you meet Jesus, you leave changed.